Good. Welcome to Faith and Calm, class number 218, special edition. We are back from Oregon. No, I'm not wearing my sunglasses because it's so bright and sunny in Oregon. I'm wearing them because I had cataract surgery a few hours ago, and you have to wear these glasses, dark glasses, at least for 24 hours. Otherwise, you mess up everything. So they will not let me wear anything else. And my wife wants me to do it because it covers over the patch under on my eye. So there you go. So I'm definitely incognito, but gee, yeah, it looks really cool, doesn't it? Okay, so we finished with Tisha B'Av. We're finished with sadness. We are coming up to, in 40 days, well, now 28 days, it'll be Rosh Hashanah. And usually the month before Rosh Hashanah, called Ellul, is even in the religious circles, maybe even more especially in religious circles, is a month of dread and fear, which it shouldn't be, about the upcoming Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Judgment, which sounds really harsh, and then the Day of Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Forgiveness. Yep.
Yeah, you have like a big black spot on
I know. I don't
What
know.
is that from?
I don't have no idea.
Okay.
Oh, he drew the doctor put a big spot on over my eye to know which eye to do.
Oh, okay.
So sorry about that. Now she notices these things. Okay, good. So yeah, I remember him coming and drawing on that. Okay. So anyway, the month of Elul, and then you're blowing the shofar every day and say the king is in the field. Oh my gosh, it's getting scary. Rosh Hashanah is coming. And what we're going to talk about today is the major transformation that the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, made in our understanding, and it really took us to a whole new level of what this whole coming month, which we bless this Shabbos, when we bless the new month, is all about. The month is called Ellul, and Ellul in Hebrew is spelled Aleph Lamed Aleph Lamed.
No, Aleph Lamed Vav Lamed.
Lamed Lamed Vav Lamed, correct. Which, he said, you know what that means? It's an abbreviation. In Hebrew, we love abbreviations. We've got them all over the place. It means Ani ladodi v'dodi li. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me, which is from the famous song Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs by King Solomon, which is all about, it's a love poem. It's a love poem between a man and a woman, but it's also a love poem between the Jewish people and God. And the two go together. And if you understand one, you'll understand the other. So he's saying, listen, this month is coming up, is all about reconnecting. It's about love. It's about nobody is actually is cut off, and everybody is welcome to come to the king. So let's explain that. So I'm going to have to really work on this one because it's a mimer. Mimer is a Hasidic discourse, and it's a very lofty ideas. But I think the Rebbe gave enough clues so that we can make it very practical for our day-to-day lives. Ani l'dodi means I am for my beloved, because that's love. You have to be giving, you have to give to the other person, and then they reply back to you, v'dodi li, my beloved is for me. So if you initiate, then you stick your face, you shine, your face is happy, you're excited to see the person, that causes the other person to respond back to you. That's all how relationships work. You smile, even if you have a sour face, it causes other people to have sour faces back to you. So, but there's more to it than this. There's more to it than that. And that is that it sounds like the entire month is about us getting closer to Hashem. Ani l'dodi, I am to my beloved. Really, as the Alter Rebbe explains, Dodi Li happens between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, because then that's the time where God responds to us. You decided to come closer. You went through the courtship in Ellul, and therefore the marriage and the relationship is established in Tishrei, and God is shining His countenance on in Tishrei, which is the month of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Okay, but it seems like we're saying that they're both in the first month. Because if you say Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, they're both in the first month. So to help us understand this, the Rebbe brings from the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, a famous parable, mashal, it's called in Hebrew. And it goes as follows. It talks about the month of Elul is like, he's called the king in the field, because The king is going to be coordinated on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, we're going to coordinate the king. When the king is in his palace and he's sitting with all his all his glory and he's all decked out and all the ministers are around him, it's an awesome experience and it has an effect on us. And that is what Rosh Hashanah is about. Whether you're religious or not religious, you're affected by Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. It moves the Jewish people. I got to do something. I got to find out. I got to get reconnected. That is God responding and coming to us. Ani Ladodi is the king in the field. So the king goes out into the field before he's coronated, and he goes and he visits with every people, and you don't have to get dressed up, and you don't have to get fancy, and you can come as you are, and he makes himself available to find out how the kingdom is going, how things are going, to make sure that you go to his coronation on that. That's the human level. On the God's level, what it means is that God comes out into our day-to-day activities in the whole month, and he makes himself available for us. So we should be able to talk to him. We may have gotten far away from him during the course of the year. We may have forgotten about him. We may have got busy with other kinds of stuff. So he's saying, you know what? I'll be miserable. I need you back. I need to have a relationship with you. Please, please, please come to my coronation. And he's listening closely to everything we do in Ellul, and he's looking for us to start to initiate the relationship. The Rebbe makes a fine point of this, and he says he's not courting you like a man and a woman, where the man is trying to arouse you and get you excited and so forth about the whole idea of marriage. He's just giving you the ability, it's called the natinas koach, the potential. You got to do the work. You start coming closer to Hashem, and then God responds. That's how Ellul works. So it's not overwhelming because he's in the field, so he's not dressed up. So he's not really, he's more accessible.
Did you mention this is a mushal? This is not literal.
Yes, they did. At the very beginning, okay. It says a parable. He's not overpowering you, but he's easy and accessible. So there's an advantage of he's accessible and he's easy to talk to. But on the other hand, he's not overwhelming you. He's not making his presence all overbearing and so forth. That is the experience of this month before Rosh Hashanah. But then the Rebbe goes on to say, and he says the following. He says, it's interesting though, but it's he makes himself available to not only to he makes himself available, but what really does it mean that he makes himself available versus he's already courting, wooing, whatever you do, and romancing, whatever it is that you're doing in the month, before you get engaged. So he says, the king comes out and he greets every single person. Now, that's an important point. That's one more point. Every single person. Now, there are many people, many Jews out there who say, I'm not interested in this God thing. I tried it, not interested. I'm not excited about it. It doesn't turn me on, and so forth. I have other things that I'm excited about too. And that's what the soul gets dull during the course of the year. So God says as following. He says, I know you're not in the field. You actually are in what's called the wilderness, the midbar. You are far away. So sometimes Jews are very far away. Even those far away Jews, he wants them to come to the coronation. So he goes out into the field and he makes himself available so that even the Jews who are steeped in all sorts of whatever that's not holy will want to come, that they'll realize that there's a king and he's interested and he wants to hear from us. One other point, it says also in the same mimer from the Alter Rebbe, it says as follows, and when you come out and you do a little bit of effort on yourself, the king receives, in Hebrew it goes, the melech mekabel et kol ha'yudim b'sever panim, he receives every Jew with a pleasant face, and also he's also mekabel everybody with a panim sachochos, a shining face. He receives, he shines to everybody with shining face. So the Rebbe says, what are those two things doing? Because it sounds like there he's already responding. It's not waiting for Rosh Hashanah. He's already responding. He's already excited. He's already smiling. He's already giggling. He's already happy about the relationship, even in Ellul. He says that's because of two things. One, our actions touch God. It matters. The things we do, the little things we do, the little effort we do to light the candles, the little effort that we do to make it like a class, the little effort, every little thing that we do, that we take a little step forward, that he's receives, makabel, he receives that with a pleasant expression. And you know what? It's not only the things we do. He's just happy that you are you and that he's in a relationship with you. That's the ultimate part of a relationship. It's not about that you do something for me. It's not about anything else. You're happy just to see your parents. You're just happy to see your siblings. You're happy that you have your kid around you. You're just happy that they're there. And that is the ultimate level of a joy. And that also comes out in Ellul. I don't need you to do anything. I'm just so happy that you're in my life and you're there. And that comes out in this month. That is the Netinas Koach, a potential energy that's available in this month. That we have this potential energy. It has to come from us. We have to initiate it. We have to put some effort in ourselves. But you know what? He responds back thousandfold with that joy and that happiness and the pleasure of just having you around. And you can feel it. The more you do it, the bigger your Rosh Hashanah and your Yom Kippur will be. Because when you've worked in Ellul and you've done what you have to do, then you are entitled to be a minister and to go into the palace and get through all the guards and get through all the appointment books and go see the king. So the more we do, the more we reach out and we learn a little bit about God and we do something for him in this month, the more we will have an experience of Rosh Hashanah will be a more powerful, more intimate, a more exciting, and a bigger marriage. And it spills over into all the relationships that we have between siblings and children and parents and everything else. One more point that the Alter Rebbe brings, and this is the Rebbe brings, I'm sorry. He brings it from the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he says the following. There are some people with this little story still doesn't impact them and they're still unexcited about it because they figure, you know what, I'm dirty. I'm not a good Jew. I never did anything good. I don't feel like I'm really holy. I don't feel like I'm part of this relationship. And the more that you push your God away, the more it's really us that actually build this wall between us and the ultimate reality of who we are, because the king is the heart of the people. If you want to know who God is, he's really the deepest, truest part of who we are. We are a piece of godliness. When we're not confused and we're aware of who we really are, it really is those wishes, those dreams, those visions and so forth. They're coming from somewhere. Who is it? It's the godliness part inside of me who wants to connect to that person who that night that pure innocent soul that was always longing just to be part of something bigger. And that's what we're doing when we come closer to God. But it seems like some people just throw up their hands and say it's impossible. So here, bear with me. This is a little bit heavy, but it gives us the following example. So in Jewish law, there's a law, and the law goes as follows: that if a woman, it could be, I'm going to change it rapidly, but this is the muscle on the physical level, and we'll talk about the spiritual. A woman, a young girl, goes out. She's hanging around with the wrong crowd, really bad people, and she go into clubbing, whatever it is, whatever is going on and so forth. She's not dressed properly and so forth, and somebody grabs a hold of her, and she's captured by a bad man who wants to do what to her, and the rabbis say, we want to know. We want to know. It could be two situations. Either she was completely, is she innocent or is she not? So the way we know that she's completely innocent is we know if she screams out from the depth of her soul, saying, and shrieks, please, let this not happen to me. Please, screaming to God. If she does that, well, it'll depend. If she's in an inhabited place, people will come and save her. But what happens if she's out in the field? If she's in the wilderness? that there's nobody to listen to her. So then it said, the rabbis say in Hebrew, they say, Ein Moshiach, there is nobody to save her. So the Tzemach Tzedek interpreted it on a higher, more spiritual level, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, and said, Ayin also refers to God because he is unperceivable. He's there everywhere. He's in everything we do. He's everywhere. He's in all the places. And therefore, Ayin, God, saves her. In other words, every Jewish soul is called the feminine. Even a man's soul is feminine. And it sometimes gets involved in activities that capture us, that drag us into places that we don't want to be, where we're not really fulfilling our mission. We're really we're not feeling we're good. And we feel a little dirty about the whole thing, but we do it because everybody else is doing it or whatever it is. And that wicked person, which is called the Esav, grabs us, captures us, and holds us captive against ourselves. But deep down inside, every soul knows and is crying out saying, this is not the kind of life I wanted. This is not the kind of thing I want to have happen to me. And you know what? Ayin, Hashem hears that cry. He hears the cry of the Jew during Ellul. He hears the cry of the Jew on Ellul that he says, I don't know how to get closer to God. I really don't know how to get closer to be feeling more Jewish in everything I do. But I want that. I want that. I really want that. Deep down inside, there is a part of the soul that says, I was perfect. I was innocent. I was holy. I was a great person. And I still am deep down inside. And God says, I know that. And I want you to come. And I want you to come to my coronation. And I want you to be there because I care about you. And I love you. And that is the month of Ellul. Ellul is the month where no matter how far away my person may have run, as the song goes, no matter where you hide, there is always this Jewishness in you that cannot be quenched because it's a part of godliness. And godliness is indestructible. And since you are part of godliness, he wants to be together with you. And therefore, Ellul is exactly the month to be able to reconnect and to connect with God.
Ask for any questions.
And I'll open it up for questions. A lot of ideas. You want
it. Okay, Yeskel Shimon, I don't want her to go.
Okay.
Sonia,
there's one more class.
Yeah. Okay.
Sonia?
Oh, maybe it doesn't matter. She doesn't know. Next time she'll stay on for the rest. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So now it's my wife's turn. Okay, you got a phone call.
She got a phone call.
Okay, good. All right. And okay, good. So you have a great story.
Can you flip the inside light on when you go?
Yes, I can.
And be careful. Walk slowly. Walk slowly.
Yeah, you should have full refuah shlema. And thank you. That was very inspiring.
Amen. Both lights. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm going to be a little more, that was very nice, Yeskel Shimon. Thank you. I'm going to do maybe a little bit more practical and nice to see everybody. So, okay. So before I begin, does anybody have any questions? Hi, Golda.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, good. So I'll just begin. I'm going to begin with the 4 things I always say, which is number 1, we are in, I'm going to have the cameras like that. Number 1, we're in an extraordinary time. And why do I say we're in an extraordinary time? Because the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was never wrong about any public prediction he made, told us that we are in the unfolding of the final redemption of the Jewish people in the world from the madness that has been reigning in the world. And we also know that our souls, everyone here, our souls were handpicked to be at this exciting juncture of human history, because we have each one of us, if we're here, it's because we have a vital role to play right now. The third thing is we were given all the tools we need to navigate this time. We were given the Torah, which is our guidebook, and we were given the mitzvahs, which are our power tools. The mitzvahs are, from the look down from an external point of view, they look like things I have to do, like, oh, another one. But really what a mitzvah is by doing mitzvahs, you discover who you really are. They bring out the powerful, strong inner soul that you really are. Mitzvahs are the most amazing self-development tool that they're much more than a self-development tool, but they are the best self-development tool in the world. And finally, what we're doing tonight, learning about the redemption, actively advances it. The Lubavitcher Rebbe told us that that learning about the redemption is the best way to speed it up. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about what Yeheskel Shimon began talking about, which is this month. And we know that Ellul, this month, this is the last month of the Jewish year, and Tishrei begins, Rosh Hashanah begins the new year. And we know that
What the hell is going on with this?
uh-huh.
Yuki, what is going on?
Okay, I'm going to mute somebody. Okay, so Ellul is the prelude, and then in Rosh Hashanah, the month of Tishrei begins with Rosh Hashanah. 10 days later, there's Yom Kippur. 5 days later, there's Sukkot, which lasts for 9 days. It culminates in Simchas Torah. The month of Tishrei is saturated with holidays. So you might wonder, why does God do this? Wouldn't it make more sense to space these spiritual, these so elevating, these incredible spiritual events? Wouldn't it be better to space them out during the year? Because after Sukkot, we have to wait half a year until we get another holiday, until we get Pesach. Why all of it in 1 month? Elul, and then boom. And so the idea, Hashem didn't space it out, because the idea of Elul and Rosh Hashanah is a wave. It is like, when you see a surfer, he looks for a wave and then he gets on it and he rides the wave all the way into the beach, and or wherever he goes. And that's exactly what Elul Rosh Hashanah is. If you do Elul Rosh Hashanah, you add more emphasis, you try harder, you get a little bit more into it. It will give you an entirely different year, not just an entirely different month. It'll give you an entirely different year. It's a wave that is meant to carry you through the year. And I heard another, maybe I came up with this, or I don't know, maybe I heard it, that another analogy is when you do something in Elul, when you do something to get closer to Hashem, when you do a mitzvah, a better talking to Hashem, better davening to Hashem. Davening is the word for it's a Yiddish word that means praying. When you speak from your heart to Hashem, when you do a mitzvah, when you help somebody, you get farther with it than when you do it in another month. And the analogy is given, it's a modern analogy as opposed to the wave. Yeheskel Shimon and I were just in an airport, and as you know, in airports they have those moving sidewalks, and Elul Rosh Hashanah, Elul especially, it's one of those moving sidewalks. When you daven, and Elul is shortly about to begin. I believe it begins next week, and it begins next week. And when you do things to get closer to God in Elul, you're going to get farther along than if you do it any other time of the year. It's good, it's important. You have to do it at the other times of the year, but in Elul you get more for your buck, and you can try it out and test out what I say and see if it's true. I find that it's true, and other people find that it's true. So Yeheskel Shimon was talking about Elul is an acronym for Hashem's love for us and our love for Hashem. But there's another kind of love that is, if we don't have this love, then the other love is compromised. The love of Hashem, our love with Hashem, is compromised if you don't have this love, and that's the love for another Jew. And since we just passed, this Shabbos was the date of passing, the yahrzeit of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Schneerson. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Schneerson was the father of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And his love for other Jews was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And I'm not going to tell the whole story of his life, but we know that he was at the height of the Soviet persecution of Jewry, and it was absolutely brutal during his lifetime. And he did everything possible to make sure that the Lubavitcher Rebbe of the time, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, did incredible things. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, in his own way, he also did incredible things. and he was appointed the rabbi in Yekaterinoslav, which became known as Dnepropetrovsk. And in that position, at the time that he was rabbi, the oppression was so severe that you were not allowed to do anything Jewish. You were not allowed to do a mitzvah. You were not allowed to studying Jewish books was absolutely forbidden. You were not allowed to study Hebrew. You were not allowed to convene for a mitzvah. You were not allowed to pray. You were not allowed to do any of these things. And anything could get you jailed, killed, sent to Siberia for the rest of your life, anything. Um, you know, even in my time, I have a friend, and she was learning Hebrew before Glasnost. She was learning Hebrew from a teacher, from a guy, just learning Hebrew, not even learning Torah. And her teacher was arrested and sent away to Siberia for a decade. And she said when he came back, he did not look like the same person. It was so brutal. It was unbelievable. And in that time, he was this chief rabbi, and he was a in Hebrew you would say he was a gibor. He was a strong man. He stood up to the Soviets again and again, although he knew that this could probably cost him his life. So so anyway, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you one story that happened in 1935. It's a famous story, and you might have heard it, but I don't think you will have heard all the details that I'm going to tell you, because I didn't hear all these details until I listened to a class by Rabbi Zalman Tachtel of Chabad of Kansas University, Kentucky University. I think it's Kentucky University. Okay, good. So everybody knew this guy. He is a strong man, and if you need to do something Jewish, then you can go to him. So late at night, like 11 o'clock at night, he got or some, I don't know what time it was. Late at night, there was a knock on his door. He lived in an apartment with his wife, Rebbetzin Chana, an incredible person in her own right. And while they were in the apartment, okay, there was this little knock at the door. They opened the door, and it was an older woman. And she said in a whisper, she said, "I convinced my daughter and her husband to be that they have to have a chuppah. They have to get married Jewishly." And they agreed. After much, much, much persuasion, they agreed. But they only agreed to do it with you, because they know that you'll keep it secret, and you'll be brave enough to do it. So why is it so dangerous? First of all, it was dangerous for anybody to do a chuppah back then. Completely dangerous. Siberia, everything. But her daughter and her husband to be were big officials in the Soviet government. And if they were caught doing something religious, forget it. It would have been the end for them. But they agreed. And she said, and they're coming here. They were so sure about Rabbi Levi Yitzhak that he's not going to say no to a mitzvah. She said, they're coming here in 1 hour to get married. So anyway, he's of course interested. He is risking his life. He's risking his wife's life. He's risking everything. He's risking his whole career. He's risking his position to be as leader of Soviet Jewry in Dnepropetrovsk, which was a big city. But this is a mitzvah, and he knows that it's going to change this young couple's life if they're married with chuppah and kedushin, if they're married in a Jewish way with mikvah and all that stuff. So apparently they took care of mikvah before they came. They knew about that. And an hour later, just as she said, there's a knock on the door, and the young couple comes, and he opens the door, and he quickly ushers them into a side room. And they go into the side room because he still has to get ready. You know, for a wedding, you need a ksuba, the marriage document. You need a ketubah, and you need a ketubah, and you need something to make a canopy out of, and you need a minyan. You need a minyan of 10 Jewish men. And so anyway, okay, finally, within half an hour, he's rounded up 8 Jewish men who are willing to risk their lives so that this young couple should start out their life on the right foot and should live in a mitzvah. They should live in a kosher Jewish marriage. It's a mitzvah every minute you're in a kosher Jewish marriage. And he wanted that for them with the ultimate lack of selfishness. It's unbelievable. So he got 8 men. He gathered 8 men who could keep. No, okay, with him and the chassan, he had 6 more men. He had altogether 9 men. After 30 minutes, he had 9 men. He needed one more person to make a kosher, to make a minyan. You have to have a minyan at a chuppah to validate the chuppah. And for Levi, everybody was ready to give up because they couldn't find another person. And Rabbi Levi, it's like, no, this is this couple's future, and there's no such thing as no. There's no such thing as no. We're going forward. We're going to find somebody. And he tells somebody, go downstairs to the basement floor. Many of you will have heard this story before, but stay tuned for more details. He said, go down to the basement floor, and there's a Jew living there, and I want you to call him up. And everybody knew, what is he doing? That's the spy. That's the KGB spy. The Jew in the basement is the KGB spy. He's calling the KGB spy into a Jewish wedding. What? Oh, but they didn't. He was so respected by everybody. His willingness to give up his life, his self-sacrifice was so known that nobody objected. They bring this guy up from the basement. They don't tell him what. They're just saying that Reb Leivik, they call it, his nickname was Reb Leivik, wants to see you. He came up, and Reb Leivik said, I need you to be the 10th man at a chuppah because this young couple wants a Jewish marriage. And I need you. We need you. We need you as the 10th man. You're a Jew, and we need you. And the guy practically jumped back 6 feet. He was so shocked. Here he is. He's the spy. His job is to spy on Reb Leivik to make sure Reb Leivik is not doing anything. And he can't take it in. It is so huge. He can't take it in. And he runs over to the windows to make sure that everything is sealed up. And he sits himself down to be the 10th man. And Reb Leivik, they come in with a tablecloth, a big tablecloth, and 4 guys hold up the tablecloth so it would be a chuppah. And Reb Leivik does he has the kasuba that he already wrote, the ketubah. And he goes through the whole, you make 7 blessings, Sheva brachas, 7 blessings under the chuppah. He does it all with tears streaming down his face with such joy that they're doing this incredible mitzvah. He's like crying and so happy at the same time. And that, because this mitzvah this couple is going to do is going to uncover the spark of Jewishness in them that is so undercover. And it's going to change their whole life. So anyway, they do it, and they do all 7 blessings, and everybody disappears. The couple takes off like lightning. They take off like a gunshot, and they leave, and everybody leaves. And Rebbetzin Hannah is in the other room. She's in like the kitchen listening, and 2 men are left. One man is the guy from the basement, the spy. And the other guy, they both come towards Reb Leivik, and they both take out their Communist Party membership card. And Reb Leivik, of course, knew the spy was part of the Communist Party, but the other guy was even more undercover. He invited him to be part of the minyan. He didn't realize he's part of the Communist Party. And they waved their cards at Reb Leivik, and they said, this doesn't mean anything to us anymore. We just want to be with you. We want whatever you want to do. We want to do it. We never felt anything like this in our life. So as it's like every Jew has a spark of Moses inside them, and just seeing the intense love that Reb Leivik had for this young couple, and the intense self-sacrifice that he was willing to do, made their spark of Moses inside them burst into flame. So the point is that these 2 people saw this is what it means to be a Jew. Communism, feh. This is what it means to be a Jew. And the point of the story is that we have no idea who we ourselves are. You know, sometimes you're privileged to see yourself in a certain situation and you see, oh my, there's more to me than I thought. Jewish stuff releases the me that's there, and and equally, if not more important, we have no idea who other Jews are. You might think that people are totally uninterested. You might think that they're like totally secularized, and it's not true. It's not true. The Jewish stuff, if you find the right thing, there is a flame inside of every Jew, a flame inside of every Jew that's just ready to burst into fire. So anyway, with that, I'm going to turn off the recording and I'm going to ask if there are any questions.